were stride for stride with Rule 1. Obviously, that went to Game 7 a little bit earlier on. And if you look back to the struggles that they had in the Winter Open 2 weeks ago, Twisted Minds were the team that knocked this Falcons roster out of that tournament. So Twisted Minds definitely know they have the ability to take down the kings of this region, and they're going to have to do it in 2 best-of-7s. Welcome to the grand final, everyone. It's best-of-7s. If Twisted Minds want to win, they've got to win 2 of them.
2 in a row is the name of the game, but for Twisted Minds at the moment, coming off of that last performance against Rule 1, also a titan figure in the MENA space. It truly is an accomplishment to be proud of and something that they can certainly drive forwards from, and Twisted Minds, it's a long distance to travel, but they're certainly capable of doing it.
Now, we saw earlier when Falcons were playing Rule 1, it'd take them a couple of games to warm up and wake up, really. 1-0 loss in Game 1, a 2-1 loss in overtime to Rule 1 to open up that series, put them at that 2-game deficit, and they rallied back and won 3 in a row. And obviously lost Game 6 and then an astonishing Game 7. But I imagine Falcons will not have as slow a start in this one as they did against Rule 1. They'll know the style of Rocket League they want to play, and obviously they've seen how Twisted Minds have gone through their lower brackets opponents coming into this grand final.
Definitely so, and they might have had plenty enough time to really gather their thoughts about what was going wrong at the early stages in that Rule 1 series, because just like you mentioned, that comeback was absolutely massive from Team Falcons. They just found an extra gear, which they lacked in those first initial games, and now that they've really had some space and some time to think, I reckon this side could be even more deadly than they were earlier.
Let's see how they open up. Nothing in the first couple of minutes, but Falcons on the attack right now. And Twisted Minds try to turn the tables. A long-range shot there from Venom. Doesn't quite find the mark, but it does put Falcons under pressure. A bump from Venom will actually open the door for Samo. Twisted Minds testing Falcons towards the middle of this game. And no, neither team getting the better of the other so far here, Psycho.
Ooh, that was a little bit close for Comfort Craftman, and it seems Senzo is still driving forwards. What a pre-jump from Venom as well, to put some icing on the cake of confusion early on in Game 1.
It certainly was confusing on the goal line for the Falcons defense. Weren't sure if the ball was coming or going, but it was going straight into the back of their net. 1-0 Twisted Minds. And of course they start as they mean to go on. Senzo obviously very familiar with the players of Ahmad, Khaled, and TRK. That's to play for, at the time, Sandrock Gaming when they were at the Stockholm Major last season in fall, after TRK couldn't make the trip over to Sweden. Obviously playing as a long-time substitute of that roster, so he'd be very familiar how these lads lined up. And Samo and Venom are no strangers to them either, but Ahmad is no stranger to scoring. It's 1 each.
And we're not strangers to a pre-jump either. That's the second of the game so far, as Ahmad took to the skies before that touch in field was even bestowed upon him by O'Khalid. And we do have an equal scoreline.
And Twisted Minds will be trying to figure out how to now counter Falcons. We saw the story against Rule 1 earlier, Psycho, was that Falcons were playing so open that Rule 1 could just aggress and take all this space, and then a switch flipped for Falcons as Samo! Oh, what a read! An empty possession for the first half of this game, but we've had 3 goals fairly quickly.
And we've just seen Samo just duck and dive underneath that last defender. He was trying to play that 50-50 high, try and play it to a place of safety, but Twisted Minds found a gap on that loose commit by that final defender, and now they're on their charge for a potential third downfield off kickoff, as possession may be in their way, but not for long. O'Khalid is punishing, and O'Khalid is deadly for a second.
These teams are on a rampage right now. No scoring early on, but the floodgates have certainly swung open as Falcons tie things back up. And the point I was making just a second ago was that Falcons were playing very open and very passive. Then the switch flipped and they started to become aggressive and start to make their own chances, and the chance gone amiss there as the ball floated across the open Twisted Minds net. Enzo caught in an awkward spot. He was backwards on that, but is able to get it over to Small. And downfield, ooh, Venom just misses a chance. Could have easily been 3-2.
Could have easily been, but at the moment, Twisted Minds are going to be very, very happy to keep this ball in the offensive third as a strong 50-50 comes through. Some more just doing all of the work through the skies there. And Senzo there to pick it up.
A bloodbath in game number 1. We didn't see this kind of high scoring earlier from Falcons until the final game. Obviously, they had that 4-0 in game 3. It was essentially a 2-0, and then a couple of garbage time goals padded the stats. But if this is the kind of back and forth series we're going to get, sign me the hell up. And of course, we could end up playing another one if Twisted Minds win this best of 7 here. We will play another, and then it will truly be winner takes all. And the thing we've got to remember is, as well, not just this grand final means a lot in terms of, you know, prize money, but you got to remember the points as well. Twisted Minds are currently sitting 2nd overall in spring points for the MENA region. If they were to win this, I think they don't go ahead of Rule 1, but they get very, very close.
They'll get awfully close to almost solidifying themselves in a top spot, at least for now, within the MENA region. It bodes so well for the future of these 3 players who we've long known the capabilities of, but like we've mentioned before, simply have not found themselves in a grand final situation, and so in many people's eyes have not been that team to look out for. As now in these dying stages, Twisted Minds are just trying to keep this ball down, and they have managed to do so. Game 1, the direction of the underdogs, Grafman.
I'm going to correct myself as well. If Twisted Minds do end up winning this grand final, they'll tie Rule 1 on 40 points in spring. Can't get much closer than that. Infinity, I'll just run down the points for you. Currently, Infinity and Falcons both sitting on 33, and then and that's really your top 4 there, just all within a few points of each other. So when it comes to the Winter Invitational in a couple of weeks' time, it's going to be all to play for. Falcons, I think, would need this more than Twisted Minds do. This grand final, that is. Especially the way that Falcons, ended their first regional of this split. But Twisted Minds putting it to Falcons, and this is something that we've talked about consistently over the years that we've seen MENA in the RLCS. Obviously, Falcons, Sandrock Gaming last season, not dropping a single regional. Now the depth of MENA has started to become apparent. There are teams who can battle against the Falcons, and now against Rule 1 as well. And Twisted Minds, they've been grinding since the very start.
Absolutely, they have been, and this grand finals has been long earned by this roster and long just wished for, and finally they find themselves in a position where they can make a real statement beyond anything, because in terms of a player, it's all about setting yourself up on a path for consistency at the absolute top, and of course for a Twisted Minds roster which has been lacking that presence at the very top, this is such a special event for them.
Well, they have the lead. Let's see if they can keep it. Falcons will be not a team to sit back and sit down and be complacent knowing that they have another best of 7. They want to get it done now, and Khaled gets it done in 14 seconds, 1-0.
1-0 and a quick punch as Ahmed with such a perfect, pristine infield ball to O'Khaled. And O'Khaled, when he does take to the skies and a free open backboard, can you really place any odds against him?
He's been the golden child of MENA for a long time. DRK may have taken that mantle for here and there, and Ahmad's had his moments as well, but really when this region was on the outside looking in of RLCS, everyone was looking to Khaled on the Johnny Boy streams and the 1v1s and everything around that. He was the man, the myth and the legend, giving MENA the platform that they have worldwide now. Is small. It does tip in, it does! Just off the corner, and that is one gone for Falcons.
It just seems as if this one's just dripped off into the top corner, and O'Khaled might have been better off leaving that to Ahmad if he had a potential touch, or whatever way that could have shaped itself for Team Falcons. They just could not find a solution there.
A blunder early on. The lead that they got so quickly is now evaporated. PRK, long-range shot, not going to bother Twisted Minds whatsoever.
Oh
but
my
that may
goodness.
bother them
Oh my
instead. Ahmad squeezes it on the post, 2-1.
2-1, and what on earth is Venom going to be thinking about that approach from Ahmad? He basically did 3 rotations through the skies or thereabouts and just made himself as unpredictable as humanly possible, and that is quite the way to put in a second, Craftman.
Let's see if they can hold on to it this time. I'm sure they're done flubbing their lines. Twisted Minds looking for inroads in. Not going to happen when Khaled's on the ball like that. Nama just keeping this one competitive. Does give it up to Samo. Venom's in the air. And couldn't quite get the pre-jump on that. Twisted Minds looking for any pass through, but Falcons starting to come alive after that one mistake on the goal line. They seem to have shored up their defense.
They definitely have, and now Twisted Minds are the team required to make a response here as Senzo does fire this ball downfield, but it's loosely met here by Ahmad in need of a second touch downfield, and you can see how quick TRK is to punish, and Ahmad as well in the follow-up pursuit. Twisted Minds, the rotation was strong for some time being, but Senzo isolated at the back. Really isn't much you can do there.
Yeah, Venom coming all the way back from all the way upfield. Too little, too late. If you leave Senzo on your own, 2 versus 1. 2 always win, or at least win in this scenario. I've seen that flubbed a few times in my illustrious career. Illustrious in quotation marks. But Venom now has Twisted Minds. 2-goal deficit, and Samo looking for that right-hand side. Samo's always been a player on the fringes here in the MENA region. Always on the second, maybe even the third or fourth team. He's got that experience. He knows how Falcons operate. Especially in a roster like Falcons, where they've been together for so long. It's hard to think that it's hard to imagine actually that, like, you know, a roster this, you know, storied and who's stuck together for so long can just find new and improved ways of beating their opponents. But Senzo, the man who used to be on that roster, finds a goal.
New and improved methods of attack for Twisted Minds as well. And it's all seemingly spawned from Samo. This player, all day long, has been electric. He's been that playmaker. And he's certainly one of the most mechanical players in this region, surely, because the pace at which he executes his ideas, and just with so much precision, this player is just such a big name to watch out for.
Does get the save there. Not able to clear it down as Falcons again pile the pressure on. And that's the style of play that Falcons have succeeded with throughout the course of today. Obviously the one series that they played earlier against Row 1, wherever they started to pressure their opponents and take those early challenges, they were winning them the majority of the time. And that is when they started to succeed, although a double commit there actually pushes it through from Twisted Minds and gives Falcons a little bit of things to think about in the back line. Samo off the corner there almost manages to find the eye of the needle. Didn't quite thread it this time.
Wasn't threaded that time around, but there's plenty of support to try and keep this attack going and thread a needle for future as Samo yet again unfortunately couldn't get to grips with a touch there, but Venom quick in support and infield touch towards Ahmad is going to be comfortably dealt with as these seconds tick down. What a beautiful back pass that is as well. You can see Twisted Minds, they have some urgency about them now. Maybe one more 50 is all that's required, but Khaled did so well to see that one to safety.
You can see it from Twisted Minds. Jamal wanted that one. Able to hold his nerve, and Falcons just keeping cool, calm and collected on the back wall. Here comes Venom over to Samo, and good awareness there from Ahmad to cut that one out before it can progress any further. 40 seconds now, and time running low for Twisted Minds. Still only 1 goal to find, and you can score. We've seen them score very, very quickly. That's a huge play there from Senzo. Gets it through, and it gives Twisted Minds a chance here, but Ahmad manages to clear down. It's an empty net, and Senzo does get back. and Twisted Mind's able to recover here in the last 20 seconds. They'll have maybe one, maybe two more chances, but they've got to set it up here from Venom.
Oh, and unfortunately no contact found, and an immediate counter-attack. A wide open lane to net for Team Falcons to seal the deal potentially for Game 2, but Twisted Minds, in these dying seconds, they looked strong, and that one's going to hurt.
Yeah, that stings, but it's well read from Ahmad. Seeing that Venom was trying to set up his team from the corner and just closes the door and closes this chapter of this grand final, game number 2, going the way of Falcons and tying this one up. This is going to be one spicy grand final, and I imagine Falcons want a flip of how these teams met in the Spring Open a few weeks ago when Twisted Minds pushed them all the way to Game 7 and ultimately got the victory.
Ultimately got the victory, they did, and Twisted Minds moving forwards know that this is still a series definitely within their grasp and within their fingertips, because in that last minute of play when Twisted Minds were required to make a response, we saw so many near misses almost in terms of opportunities forged and the way they were able to bite back on the counter with a bit of confidence, a bit of venom. It's still looking up for the underdogs. But Team Falcons, they just have this way of winning. They have this way of sealing the deal, and as soon as those first goals go in, it's just an easy ride of confidence from there.
That's the thing about Falcons. They've always had this air of mystique about them. This roster that never seemed to lose before the RLCS came to the Middle East and North Africa. They going through all the tournaments that they had there, they always seem to rise to the top. And even throughout last season as well, not dropping a single regional on their way to, a grand final at the Spring Major in London last year. What a hype moment that was against League Esports. It was validation for that Team Falcons roster to be on that stage and be in that grand final. And now this season, everything seems to have shifted around. Players starting to rise to the challenge that Falcons have, and I wouldn't say their mystique is quite gone, but it is starting to fledge a little bit.
Yeah, maybe just a clouded vision. That clouded vision coming from the new talents arising in the MENA region. Of course, Twisted Minds being one of them in the spotlight right now for the first time in a grand finals. Have so much more work to do still, because Khalid, he has not lost his touch of brilliance as he pokes in a first.
He's still got that magic, doesn't he? That 1v1 prowess and everything that Khalid has built here in MENA. Obviously with the right people around him and the right opportunities, he's still performing at the highest level. Save there from Samo, and Senzo will stick that safe into the corner for now, but it's nowhere near safe if Falcons and Ahmad are still on it. It goes towards net, just goes off the post. TRK is there to deal with the clearance from Samo, but Venom's up high up in the air. No boost to his name, and Ahmad knows that and gets it over to TRK.
Good awareness there from Team Falcons, but now Twisted Minds afforded a little brief stint of possession here, as this ball's going to be difficult to find to a teammate. And that teammate has overstepped. It's a massive mistake from Twisted Minds as two players caught in, well, very different mindsets here.
Yeah, you saw Venom go for a bump, but why bump when your teammate doesn't even have the ball? I suppose you're setting up for the potential that they're going to win it off the challenge, but there's absolutely no way that Twisted Minds were retaining possession there. Very, very interesting use of players there. And Twisted Minds just getting a little lost in the sauce. Here comes TRK. And Samo clear that one for the moment, but it's straight into the path of Falcons. Every time that Twisted Minds try to flip field position and gain some territory, Falcons are there to just slam on the brakes.
Definitely so. The positioning of Team Falcons is just making it so difficult for Twisted Minds to break past this halfway point at the moment, as TRK was beaten to the punch there by some more. The electric player creating so much of the chances for this Twisted Minds roster still coming forwards, but also is their back lines. That's almost a third open opportunity gifted to Team Falcons there.
You feel they're getting desperate already. This is no time for desperation. You're in a tie series. Yes, you're 2 goals down, But this is not the time to start thinking, oh God, we need to score everything to stay in this. You're very much in this series. I don't want to see Twisted Minds getting too flustered in this. Yes, it's a big stage, but Tenzo and Samal, they're used to the big stages like this. Maybe not so much Venom, but he's been around for all three of these players have been around for a little while now. They should be feeling the pressure of this grand final.
I definitely agree with you. Twisted Minds at the moment, they look agitated, they look nervy in game 3 and downfield. Team Falcons still on the front foot as a near miss double touch. Some more required for a very awkward backflip lunge across his own back lines. Has done exactly what was required. Downfield, the individual effort just about goes awry there. You can see Twisted Minds, they're just hoofing the ball back against the backboard. They're trying to unpack this defense, but on the counter, Team Falcons proving to continuously be deadly.
Nothing on targets in the last few minutes there from Falcons, but it certainly does keep the pressure on. A demo from Khaled will force Twisted Minds back into their own half, and again, the touches that TM are bringing down in this blue half. It's just maybe one touch and it's straight back to a Falcon. You just cannot build anything whatsoever. And again, you see the upfield passes from Falcons. It's just picking Twisted Minds apart, and they can't retain any sort of possession, and from that they just can't build any offense.
It's just proving more and more difficult as these seconds tick by. Team Falcons are just breathing a bit of light towards their roster, which suffered against this exact team. Looking back at that Spring Open we've referenced many a time, but it's such a crucial factor. It's going to play into the minds of the players in this series. Just under a minute left of play. Twisted Minds, what do they have left to offer?
Oh, double commit will let Khaled in, and TRK smells blood. It's 3-0 Falcons. Again, the pressure seems to be wrapping around the heads of Twisted Minds. And Falcons, they're floating above everything, soaring like an eagle. And it's about to be 2-1 in the series. Falcons just seem completely unrattled, and Twisted Minds are starting to unravel.
Absolutely so, and I think it might even be a bit further than just unraveling. Seem to just be locked in an absolute chokehold at the moment by Team Falcons. They're just not being given any space on the field to breathe, as now in the corner with very limited options and boost in the tank. They're just really struggling to break free. Now Senzo required to make an awkward touch downfield, and the one thing Twisted Minds need in these dying seconds of Game 3 is some hope moving forwards.
I mean, when you're whiffing balls in your own end like that, I know you're 3-0 down and you might have conceded this game already. They're about to officially go 2-1 down. I would, if this were me, I would call a timeout. I know you're only one game behind, but Twisted Minds just seem completely lost. I would call the timeout right now if I was Twisted Minds and just settle the nerves a little bit. Have a chat about what's going on, because this is a far cry from what we only saw about 10 minutes ago in Game 1.
It's a far cry, and the stats go on to prove it, Craftman. I'm not sure if you noticed, that was 12 shots the direction of Team Falcons.
Oh my goodness.
Absolutely
Zero.
Nil.
Damn.
Nothing the direction of Twisted Minds. And if you don't spend this time considering your options, considering your tactics, considering your next step forward as a roster, you could just be on that continuous path of suffering, and that is not what you want to see for a Twisted Minds that have had such a high here today, Craftman.
And of course, with no shots coming out from Twisted Minds, it means Falcons didn't have to put up any defense, no saves for them, but it's just a testament to how much they were aggressing into the orange half. I don't think, like, during those replays and even throughout the 5 minutes that we watched that one, I don't think I saw the ball really leave the orange half. It might have trickled in just maybe a few meters, but it didn't really, there was absolutely no chance, no inroads whatsoever for Twisted Minds. And again, they just look lost. No timeout, by the way, which I'm kind of like, I can understand. Yes, you're not on match point, but after a disappointing games 2 and 3 really for them, I would have just, you know, dulled the Falcons' momentum a little bit.
Definitely, and just dull Team Falcons' confidence maybe as well, just by taking those extra few minutes just for them to wait. Really see how the future progresses, but Twisted Minds now trying to progress out of their own defense, have made a nice little connection there, and Senzo, with no boost in the tank, is just going to have to settle for that 50-50. They're trying to establish a bit of control long term, but reflecting back on that previous game, Craftman, I do think it was just a little bit too haphazard, a bit too agitated, like we mentioned at the back. If that all can be stabled up even that little bit, Twisted Minds will surely be on a much greater path.
Like I said, they just look nervous. I would have loved to have seen them just, you know, take that timeout. I'm not going to rattle on about the timeout anymore, because I imagine that if they lose this one, they're just going to use it, because I mean, you have to. Your match point, you'd be match point down, and you need to do something to upset the momentum of Falcons, as this one looked like it was floating in. Senzo does get a boot to it, but even the saves that are coming through for Twisted Minds, nothing's progressing off of them. It's just straight back to the Falcons player. And I don't know what you're doing there, Samal. Yes, you're recovering, and finally you do get something going downfield. Who has 10 boost? Who was that? I couldn't quite. I think it was Venom was on his back, but I don't know what he's quite doing there. You like get into the middle of the field, wait for the pass, create an opportunity for Samal to make something of it, because you need to try and pick Falcons apart. They're playing so clinically right now, are the Falcons.
They really are, and it's making this journey to find an opportunity for Twisted Minds that little bit more difficult, and those individual efforts, like you mentioned, they need to be perfect for Twisted Minds right now, and even those tiny little mistakes are just leaving you scratching your head from time to time, as TRK downfield almost puts in a first for Team Falcons, and now in the corner they go. Team Falcons trying to make those connections, but crucially they know when is best to back down as well. You could see two blue players quick to rotate back, quick to re-find a strong position to hoof the ball back downfield.
I mean, the good news for Twisted Minds right here is that it's still 0-0. Falcons haven't had all that many chances to get into the leads on this one. Yes, they have had, Twisted Minds have made decent enough saves, so at least try and keep this one decent and competitive, as Ahmad has to be called into action. And this is an open net. Ahmad and TRK on the attack, a two-pronged foray into the orange side, and it will be smoothly taken away. That was Falcons' chance to maybe get on the board. Here comes Senzo, trying to go over to a teammate, but they evacuate the site. And Samal, oh, what a save by Senzo, but it's straight to TRK. Falcons get the goal eventually, but it did not come easy.
What is that from Senzo? He was so close to finding a miracle save, which I'm not sure I would have seen the likes of in many a game. And Twisted Minds are just going to have to suffer with the fact that they were so close to doing the unthinkable, as now they're left with even less time. Now they're forced to make a response. Team Falcons, they have that aura of confidence about them. They have that support in numbers. They have the wits about them to control the pace of the game. A 0-0 scoreline, but when they're one goal up, the confidence is only going to be higher.
And with a minute and a half left, one game away potentially from going on to match point, and one game away after that from taking this entire regional, after they looked absolutely abysmal in regional number 1 of this split. Samal looking to try and tie this up. Twisted Minds aren't done yet. They're not going to go quietly. But Ahmad could silence some of the voices coming from the Twisted Minds camp. TRK, his shot ends up in the corner. Now Samal downfield to Venom, high up in the air. Where's Senzo? He goes off the backboard looking for the double tap off the crossbar, and Ahmad will be the one to clear it. That was Twisted Minds' chance, and it's gone.
It's gone in the blink of an eye, and it was such a difficult shot to put away that Twisted Minds, being that close, maybe it's just going to give them an idea that anything really is possible. 30 seconds left now. Venom with a soft touch down. He's got 0 boost, so flicks it infield to Senzo. Hounding on the back lines is that first player downfield, and Venom just has to let this one go. He has to let the new fresh blood in some more. Drop it down. Khalid with an awkward touch has still done enough. And past the halfway mark, our team Falcons, surely that's game 3 done.
5 seconds left. Coast to coast required. Everyone somewhat boosted up. Senzo's the lowest on 21, now 28, but a man's just going to take this one and slowly drop it to the ground. Surely enough, TRK will come in for assistance, but on the other side, this one's still up. Senzo has a chance, no boost in the tank. All the way down, Ahmad just sends it to the corner. None of this funny business. Falcons match point, tournament point.
Tournament point for the Falcons and a 3rd on the board. And it just seems that Twisted Minds, even though they found something which they lacked in those 2 games beforehand, I think, in terms of creating opportunities, Team Falcons, they still had their wits about them. They still had such a coordinated team effort, and that really is what's doing them an awful lot of good right now.
Oh, this was the chance right here. Oh, and it was so close. I think I believe that was Senzo flying in right at the end. If he got one touch on that ball, it would have headed net bound, and who knows what would have happened from there. But there was that play right at the last, 20, 30 seconds. Venom, like you called it, he had absolutely no boost, tried to dribble it down, and then he couldn't recover any boost. The ball bounced back his way. His two teammates are at the play, and he has to bail because he's got no boost. He can't take any further part in that offense. And the boost management just starting to ask the question there of Twisted Minds, are you managing that boost correctly? Obviously not in that last clutch situation.
Yeah, unfortunately not. And I think the name of the game now, really for this side of Twisted Minds, is to find that possession game which they've lacked now for quite some time. Really try and control the tempo of the play, and whether that's just slowing things down a little bit, I think could do an awful lot of good, especially the likes of these counter-attacks. But alas, we do move forward to tournament point for the Falcons, for the sweethearts of the MENA region. 1 game separates them from revenge from a rather bitter defeat in that previous Open.
And once again, no timeout from Twisted Minds. I know we joke about MENA doesn't like to take timeouts, but the last time these 2 teams met, Twisted Minds did take their timeout when they were 2-1 down in that series. They did end up losing the subsequent game, but then obviously got the 3 games after that to put Falcons out of the Spring Open. Here in the Spring Cup, still not used that crucial timeout. Maybe they'll use it a little bit later on, but I don't imagine not if this one keeps going. As Falcons, a 3-man play doesn't work out. It's an empty net for Falcons. Twisted Minds can't take full advantage. It was smartly played. It involved in Twisted Minds getting all 3 men involved in that save, and they weren't able to turn the tables quickly enough.
Weren't able to turn the tables, but they avoided a near early first goal for Team Falcons, which surely would have gone to propel them to even higher heights. So it's such a crucial moment in this game. Could this be an even more crucial point for the Team Falcons? It's through the skies, TRK, a wide open backboard, and a beautifully dealt with situation.
We don't have player cams here, but I imagine when TRK saw that ball pop free, a big smile must have came across his face because he saw blood, the water, and some more. Almost had a quick answer off the kickoff. But again, TRK being the difference maker for Falcons. Twisted Minds with it all to do. Still plenty of time to do it. If we've seen anything in this series, obviously a quick start for them. They can go toe-to-toe, as we saw back in game number 1. But Twisted Minds have not shown anything to the contrary yet to the last few games to prove that they can be a big competitor for Falcons. Another shot on O'Khalid. Well read. The reads are so good from Team Falcons.
They really are, and now 2 teams which are definitely toe-to-toe. Seems as if Twisted Minds have finally managed to put 1 foot in front of the other instead of just 1 stride too far potentially, is now at the halfway line. Some more needs to make a dangerous challenge. Is forced into such an uncomfortable situation, and unfortunately, just a dying breath away from a touch here.
Oh, Ahmad sees the eyes of Simon and makes him go flying. Cool as you like. Ahmad dribbling Falcons to a 2-0 lead. And Twisted Minds in complete dire straits now. They need one back quickly. They might even get it. Senzo does. And finally, Twisted Minds have an answer.
They have a massive response, and it's actually just spawned from that infield 50-50 towards Senso. It's just been laced in that top corner, top middle rather, of the net. Twisted Minds, they found one response, but they need another.
The first goal that Twisted Minds have scored since Game 2, where they lost 4-2. It's been sweet, 3-0, 1-0 since then. Is that the beacon of hope? The Twisted Minds and their fans are going to rest their laurels on here in game number 5. 3 in a row required if they want to stay alive in this grand final and reset the bracket. Over to Simon, and he does it. Tie game.
Tie game and a perfect link up. And really put the icing on what has been a perfect transformation in game 5. And Team Falcons, those last 2 goals have just slipped on by from Twisted Minds. Maybe ones they'll want to forget, but Twisted Minds well earned from them.
Game on here in game number 5. 2 back in a row for Twisted Minds. The best they've looked since the opening game, really. That game number 2, yes, they scored a couple of times, but it did feel like Falcons had all the momentum on their side, and certainly so. It is now starting to go back in favor of the contenders. Like I said, Falcons need this grand final more in terms of points, but for Twisted Minds to plant their flag here in MENA and say we took out what many consider are the best in the region regardless of points, that is one heck of a statement to make.
A massive statement to make, and unfortunately for Twisted Minds, not a further statement to really solidify their confidence in this game by the means of a 3rd goal. And now on the counter, O'Khalid's going to take this one high. He's looping through the skies with little to no boost. Needs support from that second man, and now Twisted Minds 3 at the back. A confident approach out of defence. The long ball downfield is going to open them a little bit more breathing room.
A little bit of a miscommunication there. Senzo did jump at that one, and then teammate got to it first, but he did call himself off of it. Did waste some boost though, and he does need, as Samon's actually going to have to get back, and he does. Very awkward there for Twisted Minds, but now Falcons starting to turn the screws, keep the foot pressed to the pedal, and TRK, foot to the floor, 3-2.
And I think his foot has just managed to go underneath the metal flooring of this particular Twisted Minds defence, because there was a wide open hole towards that bottom left-hand corner, sniped perfectly by Team Falcons, and now there really is a big favourite in this series.
40 seconds left. Twisted Minds need a goal. They've scored quickly off a kickoff once already in this game. Can they do it once more? They're going to have to if they want to keep playing in this grand final. Otherwise, Falcons will get another regional win under their belt, the first of this split for themselves. The Twisted Minds are not going to make it easy. It does seem that Falcons have all the control though, but this one's heading netbound. No one's there, and Venom ties it up again.
There's still hope, and there's still every chance that Twisted Minds could do the unthinkable, courtesy of that finish from Venom, all the way from the halfway line, 120 kph, but the job is far from done.
11 seconds left, overtime looming. Falcons, I don't know if they'd like to take overtime or if they want to get it done right here, right now. It looks like Team Twisted Minds will be the ones forcing the issue at the end of regulation, but it does drop down. And we have overtime here in the grand final. Next goal, if it's Falcons, they win. If it's Twisted Minds, we play on.
As simple as that. Right now, it's going to be far from simple for Twisted Minds. Required to take this game and then the 2 onwards from that. As this bump comes through, Senzo might be afforded a shooting chance. No boost in the tank on the side of the Falcons as they play for 50 after 50 in their own back turf and just about managed to see some freedom, but still, Twisted Minds fighting forwards, this time with a bit more caution, a bit more respect for their opposition. They know the stakes on the line.
Twisted Minds threw everything in that play. He had everyone on Falcons, as you said, boostless in net. And one, I think it was Venom, in fact, had full boost. Maybe it was Senzo. Doesn't commit to the play. He plays the percentage game. Oh, Khaled could have ended it there. But he takes it back into the corner. Samo loses it to Ahmad, as a lot of people have done throughout the course of history and throughout the course of this game. Senzo, a huge save to save Twisted Minds' fate, and we're all the way back downfield. Senzo will chase this one. 100 boost in the tank, but it's a big clear there from Falcons, but straight into Venom, and back into the corner we go. Twisted Minds are not going to go quietly here in this overtime.
They're in a good position to fight forwards after this ball from Team Falcons downfield. You can see some awareness from Twisted Minds as TRK through the skies might be able to unpack that defense of Team Twisted Minds. Venom through the skies has afforded a teammate downfield. They're looking optimistically to create now as another ball goes downfield from Senzo. Maybe a follow-up touch from Senzo himself, but still not quite enough.
Just one-on-one with Samo. He does get the crucial touch that Twisted Minds needed. That was a very tricky spot to be in, but he holds his nerve. 2 minutes gone. Twisted Minds now trying to push the issue a little bit. Venom will get a flip reset off of this. What can he do with it? He does get another touch to it towards the backboard. Khaled clears, but straight to Senzo. Can he get it through? No, he can't. But that net was open and Ahmad doesn't take the shot. He tries to play it over to TRK, and he does. Falcons win the Spring Cup.
They win the Spring Cup, and in an electric fashion, as you can probably expect. Team Falcons, after almost conceding in what could have been a bitter Game 5 for them, have still managed to get the job done. GG's all around Team Falcons. They are here to play. Scratch away that Spring Open. They have certainly a lot more bite left in them.
It's a redemption arc for Falcons, like we've been saying, after a miserable Spring Open, to bounce back in the Spring Cup and have a spring in their step going forward. That is needed to put pressure on to Rule 1 and indeed to Twisted Minds to say, Falcons, yes, we had one bad tournament. Everyone has a bad tournament every now and again, but we are not done yet. We are still the same old Falcons. We will instill fear into the heart of any of those who contend the throne that Falcons have built, and their kingdom has not quite fallen yet. A phenomenal tournament from Falcons. A great effort there in the end by Twisted Minds. But man, Psycho, as we prefaced coming into this grand final, the results today have blown everything wide open in this region in terms of major contention.
Yeah, definitely so. And this is almost a three-horse race now between an unlikely third in Twisted Minds, who have managed to rear their heads today, especially with that massive win against Rule 1. A sweep, I think, was the last thing that anyone expected. Even the closest supporters of Twisted Minds might not have expected a result like that. And that is a testament to the growth of this region, the growth of some of these teams trying to make a name for themselves. And like you said, Craftman, it's really blowing this region wide open.
Yeah, as we... I think we can take a look at the bracket and how things have shaped up to, throughout the last couple of days, and indeed today as well. Team Falcons taking the grand final in 4-1 fashion. No bracket reset required, but you see the rest that are run. Obviously, a forfeited game in the first one, but from there they didn't lose. 3-0, 4-0, but then they ran into Rule 1 and they made things tricky.
They certainly did. That matchup in the the upper finals between Rule 1 and Team Falcons, again, was a testament to the closeness of competition. We saw Rule 1 establish that early lead, that 2-game advantage their way. And Team Falcons, they showed us their professionalism, their competitive side yet again. They showed just how comfortable they are in even the most dire of circumstances, and full credit to them.
We talked about in the pre-show Infinity and the run that they had in the Spring Open as well, getting to that grand final. I mean, the testament to them getting into the top 4 once again. They didn't seem like the same against Twisted Minds. Twisted Minds did seem on another level unless they
Yeah.
were playing against Falcons. And Rule One, I'm not quite sure. There's going to be conversations about Rule
Yeah.
One in the coming weeks, and seeing how they crumbled in the face of adversity against Twisted Minds. And of course, they're looking to be the one team who's qualified for a major from this region who's not Team Falcons. I mean, like you said, the Winter Invitational in a couple of weeks is going to be absolutely huge, and the pressure is going to be even more so than it was today for Row 1.
Yeah, definitely. This next regional for MENA could be one of the most exciting we've ever had, quite bluntly. I think, honestly, there is the capability for some of these uprising teams to really create some big issues amongst these top teams. And by top teams, I almost exclusively mean Rule 1 and Team Falcons, because those are the two teams whose everyone's lips are on. They are the people that are spoken about the most. These aren't just teams within the MENA region. These are teams within world contention. If they hit a major stage, you might expect teams like that to come within, top 8 placements comfortably against the rest of the world. And to see teams like Twisted Minds sweep a team capable of that potentially, what does that say about the MENA region as a whole?
So one more regional remains for this season of RLCS here in the MENA region. What a ride it's been today, as we can look at our schedule just to see how things shaped up and shaked out on the Rocket RB today. And we thank you again for choosing to be with us on the English broadcast. Of course, we had that ding dong series, Falcons and Rule 1 taking the victory there. Was Team Falcons. Twisted Minds, an impressive run there against Infinity, and of course against Rule 1. But we've got a lot to talk about when it comes to the Winter Invitational right here on the Rocket RB in just a couple of weeks' time. Psycho, I'm going to give you the last word before we go off air. It's been one heck of a day. Things have gone crazy, and now the top two in spring, Rule 1 and Falcons, are only 3 points separated.
3 points separated between the teams that everyone is watching, Craftman, and I am so excited to see how that unfolds, especially given the stakes on the line. Of course, these teams are going to be fired up. They're going to be really playing their A games, and all of these individual regionals, if you like, the Open and the Cup, for example, they're all going to be experiences for these teams to learn and really just appreciate themselves as rosters, if you like. I know, for example, Team Falcons in this Open in spring suffered. They got out early. There was shock. There was really just conversations flooding everywhere about what is the future of this roster. They are still here to play, and Rule 1, this is just maybe one setback here today, but between those two top dogs, it's all to play for, like you say, in a couple of weeks' time, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
So 2 regionals gone. Falcons faltered in one, Rule 1 faltered in the other. No mistakes needed in the Winter Invitational in a couple of weeks' time. We hope you join us then. Of course, in a couple of weeks, we'll have not just our own broadcast for the MENA Winter Invitational for the final day on Saturday, but we'll have the Rising Stars Odyssey back on Sunday as well. And indeed, next week as well, we'll have the SAM final day for the winter, not the winter, we're in spring, for the Spring Cup. I was saying spring all day. We'll have the Spring Cup for South America as well, right here on the Rocket RB for the English stream. So make sure you hit that follow button and the bell so you know when we go live next week. But for now, we're going to sign off. Thank you to Psycho. Thank you to everyone who's been on the stream today. We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time for the MENA Invitational, and for next week for the Sam Cup Invitational, whatever regional it is. I don't know. Roll the credits.